Enlightened self-interest should make me a proponent of this project. As a taxpayer, I find this to be a utopian boondoggle comparable to the spaceport, rail runner, and gentrification of lead and coal.
The city already is not keeping cars and buses out of our yards, and we will not allow residential streets to become the delivery and construction entrance for Central Avenue redevelopment. We cannot support this plan. We request that you delay it until these issues have been further examined. We also ask that citizens of Lead and Coal be involved in any task force regarding this matter.
Councilors, Council President, Council, where's Mayor Barry? Is he in hiding again from we the people?
I have about 50 years of experience in urban design, architecture, planning, and design review, including transit, which I won't go into detail here. I support a rapid transit in Albuquerque. Am I speaking all right? However, there's a couple of major, I think, concerns and problems with the design as presently proposed.
I ran into the mayor the other day, 2 weeks ago, at Charlie Spornigo's. And he said, Tom, you know, what's the problem here? And so I explained some of my issues, and he said, I'll get back to you on that. Well, true to form, he hasn't gotten back to me.
There are 10 million other riders on another 41 routes in the city of Albuquerque that, as everyone has attested, have poor service and are often slow. That is a place for money to go. And since the money has been marked for transit, I would ask that you defer this and gather your senses and come up with a plan that can benefit more than just one part of town.
Tonight we wanted to convey a critical but overlooked point of view about project impacts. Most of you, I think, have received these comments in writing as of Friday. Despite being redesigned, the number of collisions and out-of-control vehicles on Lead and Coal avenues in our area is unacceptable. The ART plan will send Central Avenue traffic, including illegal semi-trucks and trailers, 15 feet away from homes.
My name is Mimi Lopez. With the exception of the Central Avenue route, bus service in the metro area ranges from inadequate to grossly inadequate to non-existent. Central, because it has the rapid ride, does have adequate service. Not great, but adequate. If you're going to spend megabucks on improving bus transit, start where it's most needed, not where it's least needed. That seems to me pretty obvious.
When the city of Albuquerque applied for federal taxpayer dollars for the Central Avenue Bus Rapid Transit Project, it was asked two questions. One, will the project have significant impacts? Two, will the project cause intense controversy or concern in even a subset of the community? The city answered no to both of these questions. For many of us who live on or near Lead and Coal avenues in the Nob Hill and UNM area, the answer to those questions was and remains an emphatic no.
Will you blindly approve $50 million that you need for our tax dollars for repairing of our roads and infrastructure to pay for this boondoggle art that you know is unjustified? Our water rates will also go up.
There's been a lot of confusion and misinformation. Most of the impacted communities did not know that this $5 million existed, and that is why it has not been spent since 2007. The HNEDF committee does not have any minutes on file for 2015 or 2016 at the city's clerk's office, as we have documented by the city clerk.
In 1960, my best friend and I stayed to watch Psycho a second time and count how many times Janice Lee get stabbed, which resulted in a long, spooky ride home as the buses had stopped running.
Recently heard that Barry's wife owns TLC and that TLC was the company responsible for building the transit stops for Rapid Ride. And they'll be the ones TLC will be responsible for building all of the paraphernalia for ART. Perhaps that might be why Barry's in such a rush to spend this money.
Is that it's dangerous to put a bus line right down the center of the street because it blocks sight lines for those of us who walk slowly. When people come around the corner, they're going to hit me. So I'm going to put you all on notice that you're responsible for my well-being. When you put a bus line down the middle of Central, I am now in danger of getting hit by somebody who's texting or not paying attention. Don't do it. Defer it, rethink it, and don't put a bus line down the middle of Central.
The lack of curb cuts is a hardship and a violation of the ADA. For over a year, I've tried to get Councilor Benton and the mayor to install 6 accessibility ramps on corners in my neighborhood. I've been told lack of funds is the problem.
As a Wells Park resident working with other Pocket of Poverty community members, I'm here to say that I do not support our Pocket of Poverty funds being used for art-related projects. We do not agree that the district should be withdrawn to include Central from Louisiana to Coors. We do not agree with the HNEDF city's plan that $2.2 million of the $5 million Pocket of Poverty dollars should be used specifically for businesses on Central who experience loss of business due to the art construction. So what they're proposing, the city, is that $2 million would be used for businesses on Central from Louisiana to Coors. That would be phase 1 and phase 2. Then in phase 3, it would be taken 1 block north and 1 block south of Central. There's more examples that I could give. We have a fact sheet here based on the city of Albuquerque's plan, but I don't have time, unfortunately, to go into that.
Walking away from free federal money is a tough choice to make. I urge the City Council to make this issue a referendum on the November ballot and let the Albuquerque voters decide. Thank you.
I would like to start off by saying I'm biased in this debate. As a person who uses the bus, I've had to wait up to 40 minutes for a bus, and other times simply been passed by a bus because it was full to capacity. This affects my ability to go to school. I attend the University of New Mexico, and it affects my ability to attend my job on time. And so that is why I am confused as to why we're spending so much of our resources towards one route.
I'm a bus rider, and I vote. And I'm here to talk about me. Everybody else is talking about all the dreams and the visions, but I'm a bus rider. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with the buses on Central. They run well, they run regularly. I've never had a problem. I can't get anywhere else, though.
In speaking with impacted neighborhood associations, they did not receive information about the HNEDP public meeting on February 18th.
I would suggest to you that you make your own resolution that would include a referendum so that the citizens of Albuquerque can have the opportunity to vote with regard to this monumental project and how it will affect us in the future.
Let me go back to the beginning of this with the outreach. Mr. Reardon will tell you how they went to the business leaders and community and just were fuzzy and nice to them. I didn't hear a thing about this till 4 months ago. I own enough square footage on Central Avenue to fill a Walmart. And not one word from them.
Council meeting. My wife and I currently own a home on Solano, 3 blocks south of a proposed art station. I was raised on General Somerville, 2 blocks north of Central. In the mid-'50s, I would ride with my mother on a city bus from Wyoming and Central to downtown on historic Route 66 to shop at Woolworths and Penny's.
My name is Michelle, and I am a part of the 70% of our residents that are the working poor. I grew up on the west side of Albuquerque, so I've seen the effects of development on the city, and I currently work 2 jobs, both on Central. I want a city administration and council that has a vision and plan to address the fact that we have the second worst poverty in the nation and the worst investment climate in the West.
The future marriage of driverless Google cars with an Uber app may make the arts viable. However, when this technology is mature enough to effectively move people to bus stops, the bus system will become even more antiquated and inefficient.
Both R26 and R24 were accompanied by memos from the mayor addressing you to look over the project and pass on this project, and that there was a resolution attached to that memo for your review. So obviously you have had nothing to do with the planning of this resolution, and once again the mayor is missing in action.
There are no reasonable proposals to provide north-south access or east-west parking. for these stations.
I live on the west side and attest to the lack of adequate bus service there. This has been a problem for years. The refrain from ABQ Ride to request for routes on the west side is that there is no money.
I have been working at a business on Central for almost 20 years. I co-own a business on Central. I'm all for my taxpayers' money to go towards alternative fuel bus lines, for more routes north and south, for underrepresented areas, whether it be the South Valley, the North Valley, the Northeast Heights, and low-income neighborhoods. But this fixation on tearing up the middle of Central, I don't think this is the answer.
Please stop the plan to pilfer the federal grant fund to fund the art project. Yes.
Councilor Benton. I did not say that I wouldn't support putting those in, nor would I ever turn down a request to use District 2 set-aside to put in curb cuts. So I'm not sure what you're talking about.
I've sent a number of emails asking about curb cuts on Los Tomases.
To me?
Yes.
All right. And
I've
what was the
gotten a
answer?
number of responses from Diane, and at one point she percolated the response. She told me that there was no funding. Your budget had been exhausted, so she percolated the response up to the mayor, and I never heard anything else.
And when was that
Over several times over the last year.
Okay, because we have new funds coming in for exactly these kinds of projects. But so if there's some miscommunication with me, let me know.
Well,
however, I will say that with regard to Americans with Disability Act request, it is appropriate to take it to the mayor, because these are direct requests having to do with your concerns. So.
And this would be a perfect use of that pocket of poverty funding also.
Well, I think there must be some misunderstanding, so we'll get it squared away, all right?
And all you have is a hope. You're betting on hope that the federal government is going to enact a budget, and the chances are it's very unlikely that's going to happen.
It was $100 million, 80 for the feds, 20 from the city. Then it jumped to 119. But $69 million may be being allocated, which we don't know if that's going to happen, and we're $50 million short now. Where is this going to end? Let's reassess the whole thing once and for all.
And I will tell you that I'm going to represent these people in a lawsuit against you all. Many of you I respect, but I will sue you over this. And I'll sue you on behalf of these people right here. And the reason is because of the collaborative conversation that has not occurred. Because the discussion is happening now, and you're saying we got to vote now on the money. Defer the vote, and let's have a conversation.
I understand that construction is not going to be commenced on this until there is a letter of authorization of funds or something along those lines. Is that correct?
Mr. President and Councilor Gibson, that's absolutely correct. We will not start, put a shovel on the ground until FTA has provided us a letter of authorization that our funds are secure.
Today to ask you not to support and allow the City of Albuquerque Housing and Neighborhood Economic Development to redirect millions of dollars from pocket of poverty communities, namely San Jose, South Broadway, Burrales, Martinez, Sawmill, and Los Gregos, to support projects related to the proposed art.
Councilor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. I can't let this go, that the misinformation that's floating around here. TLC is not a company that is owned by Mayor Berry, nor his wife, nor any of his relatives. I'm not sure how things like this grow, but I can assure you that Mayor Berry does not own TLC, nor does his wife. Thank you.
Welcome to the Rail Runner reincarnated. You know the deficits that runs. Wait until you get a bite out of this one in about 2 or 3 years.
As you know, I supported that. I did not oppose that in principle because it was good for the city as a whole. This is a balance to that, and I'm not asking for a response. Thank you.
Well, I think I should be given an opportunity.
We're going to go on to Mr. McCall, and then...
I also have concerns that while our City Council considers art and the proposed $2.9 million in both new and redevelopment that it will generate in the heart of the city, that the County Commission is considering a tax increment financing proposal from a development for 13,000 acres in Santa Lena. And that 13,000 acres is similar to about the 12,000 acres. That's over a 15-minute walk around the art station. So a similar area And that development in Santolina will cost the county taxpayers $2.9 billion versus the ART that suggests that we will generate that money for the city.
This project will kill business on Central Avenue.
The proposed ART will provide construction jobs and an infusion of federal dollars. I suspect that many businesses on Central without deep corporate pockets will not survive the renovation.
The current Central bus route makes up 22% of all of ABQ bus riders in a given year. The rapid ride crosstowns that didn't exist 12 years ago, those 3 routes alone already use more riders than the ones that currently use the Central line.
The proposed project will not turn Albuquerque into a high-density residential community suitable for this type of public transport.
Why weren't the citizens not included to begin with?
Currently, our rapid transit system seems to be behemoth moving billboards, seldom filled to 20% capacity, providing ineffectual bus service to Albuquerque.
March 8th ART meeting at the Kiva, I heard 2 ideas that seemed to me to be pretty appropriate. One, which was put forth by quite a few commenters, was that the ART proposal should be put to a vote by the people of Albuquerque.
The conditions on lead and coal were called demolition derby by the media. That game is over. That is over. We're done. We believe that the safety and vitality of Central Avenue depends on the safety and vitality of the residential streets that surround it. If the city won't protect us, we will go elsewhere for protection. We'll go to the state, we'll go to the federal government, wherever is necessary for people to be safe in their homes.
I have been to many of the opportunities at library, at the Presbyterian Church, at Manzano Day School, at the library, where after the Manzano issue, they had security at the library. Remember that? And after going to many of those things, I fully understand that this art project was established previously by vote, and we have a contractor already hired. There's already a tremendous amount of expense that has been done for this project. And so we have all of these things already in place. So what we would like for you to do is to back up, and because it never went to the people for a vote, that's the way sometimes things get done. You get all the little details put together, and then you get the contractors, and then eventually you tell us how it's going to be or how it will be.